Hello, it's Gwen Peterson, creator of Insights and Illuminations. And here we are. This is the last episode of It's a Game podcast. So I'm hoping to maybe touch base on a few things that we've covered over the last few weeks. We talked about how I had this particular event happen that threw me off. I was raised Christian, Catholic in particular, and there's a certain way you present yourself. You're not allowed to be connecting with spirit on your own, with God. You can pray, but any kind of conversation that's the priests and hierarchy's job. And so yeah, that so when I was in a place, and I know a lot of people get in this place because it's a question people ask me all the time when they see me at fairs and such. They'll say, I just feel like something's missing, like I'm supposed to be doing something or, something. And I love that question because that's the question. Let me turn on some lights here for you. That's a question I was asking myself when this all started. I was in a place where I wasn't overly happy with everything. I felt like there were things missing. Um, and that when you have that feeling, and it is a feeling, and I think sometimes we misconstrue it as maybe depression or anxiety. And I'm not making a diagnosis here, but I'm saying if you're feeling kind of low, kind of out of it, kind of not like life just isn't in the right spot, taking some introspection of what that feels like and where that's coming from, because that was how I learned the hard way, was that it was my soul, my alignment with my soul's intention in coming into this life experience. And our souls do have an expectation, an intention. Our souls have an intention when they come in. They, from that space, from that higher level, they get to see what's going on this planet and other planets in the universe. It's because they're not under the physicalness. They don't have time. They don't have the constraints, those limitations we put on ourselves, age, time, money, all that. None of that exists on those other levels. And so our souls look into this experience as a game. They look at it as, wow, I want to have this experience. And there's particular reasons they come into that life experience. They know full well the possibilities that uh, that await that person's life experience. And I think I touched on how when our soul comes in, it's into an avatar type of situation where, the physical being, I'm going to use me, Gwen Peterson, she's a white female born in the Detroit area, raised Catholic. Father died when she was young, raised by a mother, has siblings. That all plays into the Gwen Peterson avatar and the filters that I operate under. And then the soul comes into this life experience knowing that this is going to be Gwen Peterson. And then it tries to navigate this world through this avatar. And when we're not in that alignment, when we're kind of pushing against, Gwen Peterson's pushing against um, her soul that's going, let's go this way. And Gwen's going, I want to go this way. You feel that rub, and it'll feel like I'm not doing something, or I feel like there's other things I'm supposed to be doing, or I'm not getting things right. And that is that distance between you and your soul. Okay. It's not your soul treating you bad. It's not any of that. It's the distance between you and that alignment with your soul. And when you come from that alignment with your soul, it navigates this whole game in a whole different way, this world. It's not looking to heal the world, although maybe that's the game it's playing, but it really isn't as serious to our souls as we, the avatars, make it feel, partly because the avatar is physical and does have an expiration date. And so we probably have a little more vested interest in how things go because we're the ones really kind of in physical feeling and touching and experiencing. But that's why the soul's here, is to have those experiences as well. But like I said, it doesn't get caught up in the drama as much. So you are able to, when you're in alignment with it, follow that guidance from your soul. And you can have I'm gonna say you can have some crazy experiences as a result. You will find yourself, um, being nudged in one direction, and you really don't want to. You might dig in your heels and try to fight it, but your soul, if it's an important thing to for it to do, it's going to, stick with it, and you will find ultimately the world will conspire to move in that direction. So I've just found it's easier just to move in that direction if you get that nudge. So when we look at life as a game, it kind of takes the heat off of some of the drama that's going on. We start to like detach ourselves a little bit from it. We don't engage as much. So we're able to maybe move through things a little bit better. Um, and I really want to stress this didn't all happen overnight for me. Okay. This took time. This took some chipping away because remember, when was sitting in that car and I said, "What the heck is this all about anyway?" And I got that answer from passed over loved one that just had my car full of, angels, guides, and dad and other loved ones who'd crossed over, all yelling at me at once that it's a game. And not understanding that, and then following, I was going, "Okay, well, what does that mean?" And there was so much to peel away on that, because I didn't know what the whole hearing thing was. What was that? Who were those people? How was it able they were able to talk to me? And what is this whole game thing? And then once kinda getting a feel for what all that was, then it was beginning to learn how to play the game, and it took time. It took time. It took a long time. Okay, I'm talking decades of working at it. And I think part of the reason for the book, 'cause, Spirit's the one that nudged me on writing the book because, they always know, right? They know who needs to hear it and who can utilize it the best, right? Gwen Peterson did not wanna write that book. Neither one of them, not the Insights and Illuminations or the It's a Game book. She did not wanna write either one of those because I didn't want to put out there that story, the story of what happened in the car. I was worried about because I didn't tell anybody about it. I didn't tell people what happened. There was only a handful of people I really shared that with, um, and only in strict confidence in order to get answers to it. Um, so putting that story out there was really that was a hard one for me because it put me out there to be judged. What were people going to think? When it happened to me, I didn't know what to think. So I could only imagine if somebody hadn't had that experience. And I'll tell you what, I've heard some crazy stories from people who have had intervention from spirit on what to do and how to do things that I was like, I really don't know you, so I don't know if I can trust that story. But at other times I've heard stories and they've resonated in my heart and I just know. I'm like, "Oh, I'm glad I didn't have that happen to me." So, my friends, your life is your experience. You're gonna have whatever that experience is. Your soul is going to steer you in those directions, and if you're open to allowing yourself to be steered, you can really find yourself in some really exciting and wonderful situations, and I'm not gonna say that everything will be roses because that's not what I'm saying. What I will say is that when you're working with your soul essence, you will find that you can navigate those serious situations a little bit easier. It's not as draining, it's not as heartbreaking sometimes. So it takes time to find that alignment. So that alignment that I'm talking about, and again, put in the comments, at any point in time you're listening to this, probably in the future, you can put comments in and ask questions because I have had people say, "Well, Gwen, I really don't understand some of the terminology you use," and I get that because I know that over the years I've come to use terminology that's the best way for me to describe what I need to describe, but it took time to understand it too. So I can appreciate if you don't understand the concepts. I'm saying just ask a question. I'd love to answer that or visit my website. That's a great way to connect with me as well. So let me break it down a little bit on this nudging thing. Okay. Uh, so when you're feeling those bigger questions or those feelings of not enough or this or that, that's that, like I said, that separation from your soul essence, that connection, if you will. And in order to really establish that connection, you need to spend time with you. You and your soul need to sit down and just learn how to communicate and what that looks like because it's different for everybody. For me, it's a lot of feelings. Sometimes I'll hear things, sometimes I'll see things. Not, I don't see things. Well, I guess I've seen auras before, but I don't really see angels and such. I might hear them, but I know people, they see them. They see orbs, they see things, they hear things a little bit more. Mine's more vibrational. On occasion, I'll get something that's considered clairaudient, where you can actually hear with your ears, and it sounds like someone's in the room with you. That doesn't happen often to me. So, in order for you to understand the language of your soul, you need to spend time with your soul. And I it took a while to get to that place. I kind of went the roundabout way of actually connecting more with the angels and ascended masters and taking their guidance and getting answers. And their job is to help steer you back to that soul essence. So listening to them is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. Don't listen to crossed over loved ones as much as they love you and everything. They're still a little too close to the whole physical realm. So you know, yeah, say hi to grandma and grandpa, but if it's coming down to spiritual growth and the game, it's better to rely on your angels, your guides, and ultimately your soul. All right. So taking a step back and meditating, quieting yourself, prayer. There's different names for it. It's the same thing. What it is stopping, quieting your head, and don't, you know, quieting your head doesn't mean that you're going to sit down and every time it's going to be quiet. It's more of coming to having a relationship with your mind is what it is. Um, because your mind pretty much has been running the show, and that needs to be reined in a little bit. In fact, I just actually this week, this will be out. Meditation starts with me. It has, for those who are pre-ordering the digital this week, you can get a companion guide with it and a video and an audio meditation to go with it. But in the book, I break down how to do meditation because again, again, it took a long time for me to learn a lot of things, and meditation was key, but it took a while for me to learn how key that was, how that works, what it is about, what it isn't about, how it looks, the best way to it took time for me to, really overcome the sitting in a chair thing because I was a multitasker. I was working in, um, corporate America for an insurance company, and they're pretty hardcore, work ethic wise. Your work, 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 60 hours a week, on a somewhat uh, respectable salary, I guess you could say. Um, but I was used to multitasking, okay? I was type A personality. I wanna say I've kinda gotten away from that personality a little bit, but, type A personality, multitasking, always had, 7 balls in the air, trying not to drop any of them. And so meditation was difficult for me, sitting for 10, 20 minutes doing what appeared to be nothing was was very counterintuitive for me. So that's when I discovered that that's the mind that's fighting you on that. It's the mind that's giving you the struggle. And that's the whole point of meditation is to get a handle, a grip on that mind. And in order to do that, you have to slip into what's called the observer mode. And when you're in the observer mode, that is when you are right there with your alignment and you're able to really finesse the alignment with your soul, because you've shut down the mind enough, quieted it enough so that you can start to develop that relationship and take direction, if you will. Um, you still have your free will, but it doesn't hurt to have somebody helping you out. It doesn't hurt to be a team going in the same direction. You probably maybe you've played in a team sport where when everybody's pulling together, it works. I've been in work situations where we have a team and it's high pressure. If you work in a restaurant, that's like the perfect thing. You have all the little pieces are working and everybody is humming along and you are just everything is perfect. It's in alignment. Okay. It's in alignment and it's doing what it's supposed to do. But then, say the boss hires in somebody new, that person doesn't get along with people, doesn't want to be there, doesn't, blah, blah. And it throws the alignment off. All of a sudden, it's not humming. The machine's not humming along anymore. Things aren't getting done. People are getting all defensive and hurt and not, and it gets all discombobulated. Well, take that concept and put it into you. Your mind is that employee who is not going to work with you at times because it's been trained that way. It's been fed fear. It's been taught to question things. And we've put a lot of our faith and trust in our mind and in the avatar and what it is all about when it is God energy. Okay. Because your soul is part and parcel of God energy. Okay. You may have to visualize God as more energy than a person. If it's more omnipotent, so that you've probably heard the phrase, God is in and through all things. That means that the chair is just as much God as anything else. Okay. So you're a part of the God energy. Your soul is a little more direct, more of a direct line to that energy. And so the soul, that soul energy, yeah. When you're in that alignment, things just hum. The machine works. Like I said, I use the restaurant idea. It just runs pretty smoothly. And So quieting that mind down, refocusing it, retraining it, if you will, it takes a little time. It can be done. You do your meditation, take it more into your day, that alignment. You find that alignment in meditation, take it into your day, and you start to see your day just change up. And that's when the game gets really interesting because then you get to be the director. Okay, you get to say who gets to be where and who gets to say and do what. And it's not even a thing of you saying it to somebody, it's all in your mind, so to speak, where your mind is in a good place and the thoughts are in a good place and you're in alignment and you're going, okay, I really want, and you're focusing on goals as opposed to how to get somewhere. So you'll be like, okay, this is the scenario I want to see. I think I touched on some of this, where it took time and you got to give yourself time. You're going to be peeling away the layers, the onion layers people talk about. You're going to peel away some layers. It may take time, depending on your life experience. Some layers may come off easier than others. Some are just lifelong um, pieces of your life that you're going to just dance around. So don't feel like you need to become a monk or something. That it's your soul didn't come in to be perfection, okay? Your soul came to play the game and to work through the avatar and to do certain things. And it's your job to figure out what those were. What was the goal? And the goal wasn't to be perfection. The goal wasn't to become aware and all that other stuff that sometimes people, can put on you, make you feel guilty because you're not as awake as they are. And it's not about that. Some souls came to just play. Some came to sit on the beach. Some came to be mothers. Some came to be fathers. You need to figure that out. Figure it out with your soul. Your soul will tell you, and you feel it. You will feel it. You will always, I don't care who you are, you will feel it. And it'll be in your heart center because that's where that thread is, the soul thread, the connection. It's there. And when it feels warm and fuzzy, that's when you're in alignment. That's when you're in the good stuff. And that's when you are the most open to hearing and feeling what you need to do next. And sometimes it's just a question of asking yourself quietly in the morning, because that's what I that's what I do. And you can too. What's next? What am I working on next? Where are we going to go? Sometimes it tells me I need to go shop for yarn, which I'm good with. So you just ask the question and learn to listen. Journaling is another good way to do it. Um, Let's see. How to recognize your quiet guidance. We talked about that. Meditation is the foundational piece. It's the best way to do it. There is no other way. Okay, short of laying in bed all night long, listening to your head go round and round and round, and then you're not really actively quieting it. Okay, so meditation is intentionally sitting, listening to what's going on, quieting it down, maybe journaling it out to figure out, is this something I need to work on, or is this something that just needs to be heard out and let go? Taking that time because there really isn't any other time. And when you're in the thick of things, that is not the time. I mean, you can do it, but that is not the time to decide, I think maybe I need to figure out this meditation practice, okay, or how to pray properly. Um, do it beforehand so that when going kind of gets tough and drama gets a little bit out of control, you can quiet yourself down and follow the guidance from within on how to navigate those waters, if you will. So let's see, ways to commit to your spiritual practice, even during life's chaotic moments. Um, it again, in the book I talk about in both books, I think I talk on both. In both books, I talk on this topic because it is very important. Um, the commitment part. And there's a whole energetic behind the commitment part. In fact, today I was just journaling on how I'm journaling and really focusing on my health and the energy around my health. And so part of that project I'm working on is to every morning meditate with intention on that and journal. Well, I was still meditating, but the journaling, I kind of let up on it for a day or two because there was other things going on, right? So what happened is day one went, day two went, and today was day three. And I'm like, no, we're going to sit down. And what I found, and you will find, is that without commitment and follow through, your mind starts to act like a little 3-year-old or a dog if you're training a dog. And I think you can appreciate when you're in that training mode of whether it's kids or animals, if you aren't consistent, you lose the momentum. All right, you have to kind of start all over again, and that's what I was running into this morning was things started happening to get in the way of my follow through, and I recognized it, and I said, "Okay, I don't care what else is happening today, even if I have to kind of cancel some stuff out. I'm gonna sit and journal because that is what's important to me. That is where the magic is. That is where the energy and the power is. And if I'm not taking time to do that and I'm not being committed to it, then things will continue to get in the way of doing it. So commitment is very key to your practice. Start out slow with any lifestyle change because this is a lifestyle change. And when you make lifestyle changes, you got to start small and easy and workable because guess what? The mind is going to be right there to try to talk you out of it, convince you that you shouldn't be doing it, try and tell you that you need to be doing something else. Something else is more important. Didn't you forgot to send somebody a birthday card or, somebody needs a phone call. Something always comes up to shortchange where you're going. So it's a game. It's part of the game. It's one of the levels on the game. So if you think of if you've ever played any video games, it's kinda like that. You start on the first level, and the first level is you figure out how to get your guy moving forward, jumping up and down, swinging his arms around, that type of thing. And then you kinda move through the different levels. So, meditation is gonna be getting your butt in the chair once a week for 10 minutes, and just easing yourself into it. And that practice in and of itself really starts to unravel the whole game thing. It helps you to see how some rules you may have been playing by that somewhere along the line, somebody gave you a rule to play by that you're going, I don't think this rule works for me anymore. Okay, I don't think this is a good rule, and think back on some of the crazy rules your parents gave you that or like I was kind of raised in a narcissist family. My mom was a narcissist, so um there were some really crazy rules that would come up that were very and you I say crazy, it's the ones that have like double standards. All right. So a good one is, you know, okay, with some narcissists, said, you come to my house for because it's my birthday, and then you come to my birthday because it's your birthday. But it's always their house, right? But they guilt you into it, and you stop and you go, wait a minute, is that kind of a double standard? I have to come see you on your birthday, and then you turn around and tell me I have to come see you on my birthday. It doesn't make sense. And you can maybe, if you've ever run into a narcissist, probably can relate to some of those double standard type things that pop up. So yeah, the you when you start spending a little time digging into that and you seeing what's popping up and what's not working, why does this thing keep happening? Why does this keep happening? All of a sudden you start to get some answers and some freedom to change that pattern up so that you are free to invite new people into your life, to invite new circumstances into your life, to maybe have some fun and do some of the things you wanted to do that you've always kind of wanted to do, because it was always kind of here to go do this. Well, guess what? That's that soul saying, hey, you know, let's go play, or let's go do this, or let's create that, or let's be of service here, or do that. So, yeah, that's it. Let me see. Gentle reminder. The gentle reminder, you're never on this journey alone, and you're not. I've been hearing that pop up a lot lately, and I appreciate that you're still here with me listening. Um, I've been hearing a lot lately, people talking about loneliness, how they're lonely, how all the stuff about loneliness. And that's a thing that you could sit with in your practice is to identify, are you truly lonely? And what does that look like? Because usually I've found for myself and some others that I've talked to that the loneliness thing comes because we put so much weight on the physical connection with people. All right. And it's easy to do. And it's not like you're can be 100% detached from it. You have connections with people. You are um, living this life in physical. So that's always there. However, if you're giving over your power, if you're giving over your trust, you're giving over your faith, you're giving over your need to have somebody else make you happy, make you whole, make you feel loved, make you all this stuff, then you're going to be disappointed more often than not because other avatars in this world are doing it just like you, trying to figure it all out or trying to play the game with their soul, on whatever level they're at. And it's really not their job to keep you happy or make sure you feel like you're not alone. So when you're doing your practice and you're doing your work and you're that connection with your soul, the soul fills that space up for you. That empty loneliness, hole, void will be filled by your soul when you start to really make that connection. And your soul can provide everything that you want there. It's the thing you want to have faith in. It's the thing you want to trust. It's the thing that'll make you happy. It's the thing that'll bring you peace. It's the thing that'll steer you in the right directions. Um, so the soul, so you're not alone. You're definitely not alone. Um, I want to say don't buy into the victimhood of loneliness. Yeah, I think I'll leave that one lay there. So I'm going to close out this episode, this series. Okay. I hope you've enjoyed it. Go back and visit some of them. I know I've touched on I might sound like I ramble, and I probably do. Let's leave it there. Um, but in my ramblings, my work over these decades, I have made that connection with spirit, and my angels and archangels and my soul have very much brought it to my attention that part of my work or service here, or part of the game I'm playing here, is to channel their messages and to be a guidepost for those who are trying to play the game. Maybe you've played a game where the little note pops up and it's a tip on what this level's about and what you need to do and where you need to go. Well, that's kind of what I am, right? The spirit kind of drops things in and I just kind of say, "Hey, this," and "Hey, that." And even though I sound like I'm rambling, in there, they're dropping stuff in, and as much as I try to string those pieces together to make sense, um, I find that I really don't need to. I do for me, so I feel like I make some sense, but for you on the other side, when you're listening with an open heart in your say your soul, your soul has directed you to listen to one or all of these, episodes in this series, whichever one you're directed to, and it might change from time to time. You might feel you might feel this nudge of, I think I want to listen to that crazy ladies podcast again, only I feel like I need to listen to episode 6 today. And it may not be because of the whole episode, it's because of the one sentence they plopped in the middle of it for you, or right at the beginning, or right at the end. It's hard to say when or where. They've directed me to read books. I love books. They have directed me to read books, and I sit down and I'm enjoying the book, and I'll get a message out of it, and I can feel it in my heart center, and I'm like, "Oh, that's great." And then I'll wanna read some more, and they'll be like, "No, you don't need to finish reading it." I'm like, "Hey, I'm gonna finish reading this book. This book's good." And they're like, "Well, you don't need to. You've got the message we wanted you to hear." I have a feeling that's what these are gonna be like for you, so be patient. Give yourself that. When you hear the message, that's all you needed. So even though in my ramblings it sounds crazy, could be a word. It can be as simple as a word. I've done meditations, my heart opening activation meditations, where I'm channeling the energy of the angels and guides. And when I'm doing that, they'll throw out a word, and I'll say the word, and I'll try to get more information from them. It's like, "Can we string this together with something?" And they won't. It's just the word, and I'll say the word. And when we're done, inadvertently, somebody will walk up and say, "When you said such and such, it opened up a whole, thing for them." It opened up I wanna say space, it opened up a connection to something that they'd been working on, alright? Other people will be like, "I didn't even hear anything." So it's how that's the game. That's the game. What's being dropped in for you? What's resonating with you? What how do you piece all these pieces together and make it, go in a certain direction? And that's the game, guys. That's the game. You're not alone. Play it with your soul and angels and guides, because they're all there. Everybody's there. They're all waiting. They're knocking on the door. That's why you feel lonely. That's why you feel empty. That's why you feel like you're not getting things done. Sometimes, if you feel like you're just running into a wall repeatedly over and over and over, that's why. That's why. So I have my takeaway note here. Life is a journey of remembering who you really are, a soul having a powerful, playful, beautiful experience. Keep playing with intention and trust that you're always guided. So I'm going to end it there. I thank you again for listening. If you liked what I did, I guess subscribe, like the episode, share it. Um, Listen to some of the other stuff I have out there too. I have a lot of meditations available in the notes below. I have the description of the episode, but at the very bottom, I have a bunch of links so you can kind of play around in there. I invite you to do that. This is the last episode for the It's a Game podcast. I have suspect that I will have a more regular podcast that might be more generic coming up, but I can kind of feel it brewing out there. They're kind of putting things together. Um, So I don't have anything planned immediately, but there will be. If you want to be able to know when and what, visit my website, join my newsletter, and then that way you can be notified when the next podcast series starts. And I think that'll be it for now. I appreciate everything you guys do and the energy you hold for the planet and for the space that we're creating. Um, that's it. Ah, it was fun. I appreciate this. Thanks. Take care. Where's my button? Bye bye.